So balance is a crucial part of human movement, and a lack of it will lead to overcompensation and a lot of wasted energy. So without further ado guys, let me give you a quick rundown of some simple balance training techniques with progressions to more advanced drills as well, which you can use to help you in your day-to-day functioning and especially in sports as well. Let's do it. So let's first talk about why we would want to train our balance in the first place. Balance is a form of proprioception which refers to the body's awareness of itself in space. Now you may want to choose to prioritise this type of training for its carryover into everyday life and for sports as well. And this is because it's going to make your movement a lot more efficient by reducing the spillage of energy and helping the body to move in a much more relaxed, smooth manner where everything is in balance and more efficient. And when it comes to certain sports, such as any sport involving running or a quick change of direction, for example, it's going to be very beneficial for that as well. And that's because the body is going to work in harmony and the motor neurons in your brain are going to all learn to coordinate with one another and increase the efficiency of your movement. So then let's now move on to the exercises. I've actually split these up into 3 different sections for you, so you can start off with the easier ones and then they're going to get a bit harder after that. So we're going to start off with stationary exercises, then move on to locomotion, so they're going to be more mobile exercises, and then I'm going to show you some other progressions to challenge yourself even further and really incorporate the whole body in terms of coordination and balance. So the first exercises I'm going to share with you are the stationary ones. Now these are brilliant because they train your body how to coordinate itself all while balancing on one leg. Now the first progression that we're going to start with is going to involve raising your leg off the floor, one of your legs off the floor, and you're going to place your foot and rest it on the other knee. Now what this is going to do is add a little bit more stability for you, so it's a better one to start with. And then once you're in that position, get yourself nice and balanced and you can then start to flow. Now some exercises which I'd recommend for this one, which you can try, are the underhand patterns specifically, such as underhand figure eights, or if you can manage, you can try doing the alternating underhand figure eights as well. So you'll really feel through this exercise how your body's learning to balance itself all on one leg. The foot is going to be working very hard to stabilize the rest of the body as well, because the top half of the body is going to be doing a lot of movement. So you need to try and be as efficient as possible with those movements up top to make sure you're not spilling out all that energy down to the bottom and then falling over, which is what we want to try and avoid. So you can try starting off with a few seconds on each side and then just increase and see how long you can do it for on each side. So a progression that I'd recommend after that would be to simply raise one of your legs off the floor and keep it suspended, and this time we're not going to rest it on the other knee. So this is going to train your hip flexor a lot more, as it's going to have to keep your leg up, and also the opposite glute as well, as it's going to have to drive your hips into more extension to keep your body upright. Now this can be trained in the exact same way. Try the underhand patterns with it and also try it for a set period of time on each leg, but also have a play around, and if you want to just do a few reps on one leg and then switch over to the other leg and keep doing it that way, then that's totally cool as well. At the end of the day, all we're trying to do is reduce the spillage of energy up top, so the bottom of the body can stay nice and balanced as well. So moving on, the next one is going to be dragon rolls on one leg. Now the mechanics of this one are going to work a little bit differently, because one of your legs is going to be driving forwards and backwards, which is going to resemble the contralateral reciprocation biomechanics we see in running and locomotion and that sort of thing. So brilliant exercise to do because it's going to really work on our thoracic rotation as well. It's going to open up the top of the body, and how I'd recommend you start this one would be to simply get in your dragon roll first. Start off nice and slow. Then what you can think about doing is shifting your weight over to one side of your body. Once you've done that and you're happy, you can then lift the other leg off the body, and then what you're going to try and do is feel where that swing is, and as the rope passes in front of your body, you're going to drive your leg, which is off the ground, backwards, and then as the rope comes behind your body, for the dragon roll, you're then going to shift that leg forwards. So start off slowly, feel that swing, get the hang of it, get the swing of it, pardon the pun, and then we're going to work on driving that leg forwards and backwards even further each time, okay, and increasing the speed as well. But same as the other exercises, just get it down, get the basics of it down, and then you can work on drilling more time on each leg. But as long as we're improving our balance, that's the main thing, guys, just remember that. So now let's look at the mobile balance training techniques. Now the first one I'm going to share with you is one I like to call the lateral bounds. And this one, as you'll see, is absolutely brilliant for training that quick change of direction which we see in many sports. It's going to resemble the stationary underhand alternating sneak exercise which I showed you at the beginning, but this time, instead of balancing on one leg, this time we're going to shift all our weight from one leg and drive ourselves to the side to hop over onto the other leg, keeping our balance, and then repeating that again, jumping back the other direction. So the way we're going to get ourselves into this exercise is first get yourself into an alternating underhand sneak. Now what you're going to do is feel that when the rope passes on one side of your body, you're then going to load the glute on the opposite side. Now to do this, let's say for example the rope is coming across the right side of my body. That means I'm then going to turn myself into my left hip and put my right leg behind. And what this is going to do is load up my left hip. I'm going to bend my knee, push the glutes back to really stretch them and elongate them and prime them for that recoil. And then once I feel ready, I'm going to explode in time with the rope as well, of course, over to the other side, and then I'm going to land on the opposite leg. And when I do that, I'm then going to repeat the exercise just in the opposite direction. So that would be the best way to grasp the concept of this one, guys. And once you've done that, you can then move on to the multi-directional bounds, where you're going to be, instead of just jumping from left to right, you can then incorporate the diagonal bounds, forwards, backwards, left to right, whichever way you like. And obviously you're going to be training your balance from every which angle, whilst teaching the top of the body to communicate with the bottom of the body. Everything's going to be in harmony, and it's just brilliant exercise for that carryover to sports. And one thing that I will say with this exercise is I find it a little bit easier to perform the exercise with a slightly shorter rope. So just put a couple of more knots in your rope for this one, because you're going to be bending your knee quite a lot and getting yourself closer to the ground as you normally would. So you might benefit from a little bit of a shorter rope so you're not hitting the floor as much. So moving on, this next exercise is still part of the locomotion category, but this time, instead of jumping from one leg to the other, we're going to keep all of our weight on one side of our body and just train the one leg this time. And the purpose of this drill is to focus on glute flexion and extension. And what I mean by that is we're going to be bending the knee on the way down, and the glute is going to get a nice stretch to it, almost like a lunge, and then we're going to explode up and then go into sort of like a knee, as you'd see in Muay Thai or a march, something like that, and explode into hip extension. Now I'd recommend with this one that you guys try using an underhand matador pattern, because it's a two-step pattern and it would just be easier for you to establish yourself on the way down because it's slower, and then you can then spring up, and then you're going to be training that balance, keep yourself from falling over in the extension phase as well. So let's say I'm training this exercise on my left hand side to train that left glute flexion and extension. This will mean that as I'm coming down to bend my knee to load that glute, I'm going to be performing the underhand matador on the left hand side. And then once I'm ready to explode and fire up, the rope's going to come over to the other side of the body. The knee is on the opposite side, is going to come forward as well. And then I'm going to do that for 2 beats before returning myself back to the initial position. So key things to remember for this one, guys, are to always keep your weight on that foot, which is the same side as the glute we're working. Now this means that you don't want to be leaning too far forwards or too far backwards either, because that way you won't be getting the correct glute contraction. You're going to be loading a different muscle to the one we're actually trying to work. So yeah, just be very aware of that and try and always feel that contraction in the glutes on the way down and on the way up. It may take you a little time to actually feel it properly, but once you feel it, you're going to have an excellent exercise to train those glutes and have excellent carryover for your running mechanics as well. So this third category of exercises I've got for you is like a little bonus category I've thrown in there, and this one involves incorporating other equipment to help you train your balance. Now, the best thing to start with would probably be a Bosu ball for most people. This is because it offers slight instability, as it's not going to roll away and you're not going to fall off it as easily. Some people still may, so be careful. And this is brilliant for any kind of flow you want to practice on it, but especially if you want to try releases and that sort of thing, then you're going to be training the bottom half of the body to stabilize, whilst the top half is training its hand-eye coordination, and the body's just got to work extra hard to coordinate these sorts of movements. Once you've gotten quite good on a Bosu ball, then you can practice on something like a slam ball, as this offers a little bit more instability, or a medicine ball, something like that. Or if you're really crazy, you can go for a Swiss ball, which has got the least amount of stability, but just be very careful with this one, as obviously you could fall and hurt yourself. So just make sure there's something around for you to catch your fall or to hold on to if you feel unstable. Now, these are absolutely brilliant ways, as I said, to just train the whole body to coordinate itself. You've got the bottom half working to keep you in balance, whilst the top half is training that hand-eye coordination, for example, if you're doing things like releases and that sort of exercise. So just a fun little thing for you guys to try. Have a go at that and see what you think. So as I mentioned earlier, balance is really important when it comes to your footwork, and I recently done a video on rope flow transitions where I shared with you a nice way to practice your footwork and balance there as well. So check that one out, guys, and don't forget to get yourselves down to spiralflowropes.com to get yourself 10% off your first flow rope order. And I will see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to like this one, subscribe, leave us a nice little comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you soon.